All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of Off the Wall. It's your boy Dazzle167 bringing you a spicy episode today. And this is the reason why. Today we have former CEO of Illusion Esports, Mr. BestTheDon. How are you doing?
A little bit better today. Have some good news.
Right. That's always good to hear, considering the last few days that have been going on. And listen, there is so much information to unpack here because this is a controversy and something that's been going on for like the I don't know for like the past 48 hours or so, I guess, right? And it's just kind of been a whirlwind of like of information that has going on and a lot of misinformation as well. So let's go all the way to the beginning about from this controversy. Let's talk about well, I guess the first question is, why did you leave Illusion Esports?
So it wasn't by choice. We sold off. Well, I sold off majority share of the company back around like November, and yeah, so I wasn't like the majority share owner anymore.
Right. And even though you weren't the majority shareholder anymore, there's something happened 2 days ago, right? Because I remember there was like an important meeting of like the heads of Illusions and like the people who were organizing and stuff like that, and you guys were all talking about it, and then the next day this kind of all happened. So what happened there specifically? Did you officially leave then and there, or how did this happen? Because you were still involved with Illusion after all of that stuff had happened, correct?
Um, no, after like the stuff started getting posted on Twitter, I had no control over like the Illusion account
Well, no, I
or
mean like after
anything.
you sold like the
Oh
majority
yeah,
shares in the
after
company, because that was like
yeah
back,
after I sold.
yeah, November,
Yeah,
right?
that's back like no, that's back like October, somewhere
Okay,
around there.
okay,
And so like we sold off everything. Well, not everything, but so I sold off a majority percentage, and so I pretty much I answered to them at that point. But they still let me like run things as I saw fit.
right. Right. And before we talk about any of the other stuff, we should also talk about how, you know, Illusion wasn't just one person, right? Like you obviously were, if you will, the face of an organization because you had a lot of involvement with players and with the social media, and you were very outspoken, and you came on the show a couple of times, so you were definitely like at least the voice or the face of the organization for a while there. So you had a lot of input, and obviously people let you run it the way you saw it fit and all that stuff. So talk to me about what happened. What happened in the last few days that made that change? How did a new CEO get announced? What was it seemed like a corporate takeover of sorts, but so what exactly happened?
So this wasn't an overnight thing. It wasn't just like, oh well, you're not CEO anymore. It was
Right.
going on for a little while. And so, they said I wasn't running things right, spending too much money. We're headed into the red, which is all true, because running an esports team, it's not cheap,
Right.
at all, but it's takes time to where you can start really making money.
Right. It's not
So they,
immediately profitable. I mean, people like Mark Cuban have said that for years. They've been saying how esports is one of those markets that you kind of have to just let it simmer for a bit until it can eventually make some profit. But that goes for a lot of small businesses.
yeah. So that's kind of what they thought. Like they don't really understand what's going on, like with esports in general. So they were like, "Oh well, there's no profit being made. Let's try to get out of this."
Okay. And by get out of this, what do they mean? Did they mean like a change of culture, like, or did they mean like liquidate the assets? Like how what exactly does it mean for them to do that?
Well, they didn't say like that term itself, but that's
Right.
just what I'm thinking. It was more like, like they saw it as like I'm not doing my job right because I'm not making money.
Right, right, right. Which I mean, from a business perspective, I guess it's one way to view it, but obviously there's other stuff that goes with it. I mean, there's obviously there's a lot that Illusion had to offer within the esports realm that a lot of people saw as like beneficial, and that could be a valid point. But that brings us to the next part of this of the controversy, which is if a esports organization is cutting ties with their former CEO or face of the company, and now going into someone else, that person doesn't normally go out of their way to personally attack the former CEO. So what happened in that relationship between you and that person that became that way?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
Um, like I'm not even sure like who's actually was on the account, so I can't say. Um, so I don't know like who to actually point it to, who was on the illusion account at the time.
Right. Now,
So
now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Now, okay, so a lot of people have been speculating, right? Once at some point before all this started happening, Illusion Esports, which is now, this tweet that I'm going to mention is now deleted since then, but they mentioned how their new CEO was going to be named, and he was going to be Diego Hardinez, right? I think that's his name. And that person, they didn't specify that that person was the person controlling the social media accounts or saying any of this stuff. However, as someone who is, the CEO, or at the moment, you would think that regardless, they would have some sort of, it would be responsible on them, correct? So, like, if is that something that you think is what's going on?
um, like I said, I'm not too sure who was behind the account or what happened. Um, that's why I haven't really like commented on the situation on social media. Only thing
Right,
I've commented on is like my aunt being in the hospital. Other
right,
than like the rest of like everything I was posting on social media, I didn't comment on. Said I don't know who's actually behind it or what's like really going on behind the scenes. So, like I said, like it could be anybody hiding behind an org account, to be
right.
honest. But yeah, that's why I just haven't commented on it. You know,
Now, okay, so real quick question then, because a lot of people, there's a lot of rumors, right? The one of them is the one we mentioned before about Diego being the one behind it, or at least responsible, because obviously it was mentioned that he would be the new CEO in one of the tweets. But another one is, did Illusion Esports get hacked, or what are some of yours? I mean, I know that obviously a lot of this would be speculation because you're not exactly sure. But I mean, what exactly do you think was going on? I mean, was there anybody at the organization that you thought, well, maybe somebody took this personally, so it could have been this person who didn't like me, or
um, they said I don't know. I thought I had a pretty good relationship with like everybody on the team. Um, I don't know. Apparently Theory didn't like me, so that's always a thing.
right,
I don't know. I don't know. I got DMs of him and like the Illusion account. They were like talking it up. So who actually knows?
right.
Um,
So at the
so
moment,
yeah,
we don't officially know
yeah.
who it
There's
is.
nothing official.
Nothing official. Obviously, tons of people, speculation. Now, something that a lot of people who weren't part of the organization, or even the content creators or players, don't know is that there was a DM, a Twitter DM, that once this happened, everybody started talking into like what's going to happen, what happened to everything, what's going on. A lot of the things that were said there didn't get public. However, I did personally take screenshots of it. I can't pull them up right now because they're technically on my phone, but I'm gonna quote some of the things here, and we're gonna talk about some of the stuff that he said, and I want you to comment on what was said on that account, and how do you respond to it. So one of the things says, he's gone and half of you will be leaving with him this week. So none of this matters. Also, all of this is his fault. He sold majority shares, so he's reaping what he sowed. End quote. So, it seems like there's somebody who's very salty about the whole situation, but what do they mean exactly about reaping what you sowed? Like what is selling the majority share do to the company, and why do you think it had a repercussion? Why do you think somebody would think it would have some sort of repercussion?
Well, a lot of people on the team didn't want us to like make the change from just being a console Overwatch team. So nobody like really liked the whole FTC thing or going in a Call of Duty or any of that. So that could be it. And I guess like the part where it's my mistake, well, it technically is because I did sell off majority share of the company to have like capital to do things, but um that's really all I can say on the situation
Right.
as far as that, because that's just kind of vague.
Right, right. All right. So yeah, and these are some of these are going to be just quotes. This person obviously thought that you didn't have any benefit to the team or at all. One of the quotes says, "Tell me what he's actually done, anything to benefit this team, just empty promises." End quote. Another thing, and this is something that a lot of people are wondering. He says, and I quote, "Sad thing is, most of you are under contract, will be transferred or released, unfortunately. Best traded his buyout for most of your contract. So you guys will be trapped under him for the rest of the year." Can you elaborate a little bit more of that, since that's something that he's putting on you specifically?
Yeah, so that's pretty easy. Like it says, like as he states, it's true. Like so, when I was removed, I was forced to sell my shares. So I tried to negotiate to have my like buyout traded for contracts, which didn't really work because some of the players wanted to stay with the team instead of being transferred to another organization that I thought would, be a good fit for them.
Right.
So, they thought it was best that they stay with the team and, do what they will. So I don't hold it against them. I'm just saying like it was their own decision. Like
But
I
but
had it
it
set up.
but is it like a contractual limbo, because the rights were, you traded the contracts for
No,
it.
because see, nothing was official because we were waiting on confirmation of whose contracts I would take. So we were
Oh,
still in negotiation. So nothing was like actually signed of me like guaranteeing the contracts that I'm the holder of them. So since
right.
like I didn't get transferred over to them, they still belong to Illusion Esports themselves.
So all players who are still under contract for Illusion Esports are still under contract through Illusion Esports. That nothing has changed from that. The fact that so that is a lie, is what you're saying. Like the fact that that they would be trapped under you for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so he wasn't wrong. So like if they did transfer with me, they would have been with me.
Right.
If I decided to join the organization, because I don't really know what I was gonna do after this, because I spent all my time building Illusion, and then just going to like another brand, it was kind of like, I was kind of up for it, kind of not. So then they didn't want to go, so things kind of fell through. So I'm just kind of chilling now.
Right. Well, listen, we have this news and this controversy made headlines. I mean, literally, like people were talking about it, as news in the fighting game community. We have a clip from SMG Princess. She elaborates a little bit more about some of the stuff that was happening. Let's take a look at that.
Esports organization Illusion HQ got called out things weren't pretty. One player and streamer by the name of Kiki X Baby tweeted, "Hello to anyone who sees this. I wanted to figure this out."
Oh, you know what? I don't think we had audio there. Let me replay that. Let's run it back.
Esports organization Illusion HQ got called out by its own players and streamers last night due to threats and blackmail the company sent to its members in an attempt to take down the previous CEO of the company that goes by the name of BestTheDon. The company was accused of withholding payments until the members basically spread some lies about the former CEO. All of the interactions were screenshotted and posted to Twitter for the fighting game community to see, and as you can imagine, things weren't pretty. One player and streamer by the name of Kiki X Baby tweeted, Hello to anyone who sees this. I wanted to figure this out privately, but now I must come forward about unjust being done not only to me but others. My integrity, ethics, and brand were also in danger. I am no longer a part of Illusion HQ, and here is some reasons why. She continues by posting the screenshots and calls out the new leader for manipulating her into framing BestTheDon and illegally withholding funds to force her and other members into complying. When asked if she would be taking matters to court, Kiki said, "This will sadly take a lot of time potentially, and most cannot speak yet without legal representation, but she is considering doing so."
So that's a couple of things there. That unlocks a whole bunch of other things, a bunch of topics. So, one of the things it mentions that we haven't touched upon is the fact that they were saying how, some of the content creators, Kiki included, were talking about how that Illusion account was messaging her and telling her, hey, if you don't talk bad about BestTheDon, then I'm going to withhold payments. And therefore, either you blackmail or, having some sort of blackmail throughout the process. First of all, let me get your thoughts on this, because I don't think, obviously there hasn't been any, you haven't commented on a lot of the stuff, and some of it necessarily just because you don't want to comment. But what do you think about that situation, and what was that content creation, for some of these people under the organization? What was it like? Were they getting paid before this all happened? How did it transition into that?
Okay, so speaking on the content creators, so we were starting a new content program. We want to bring in like bigger name streamers and stuff. So we offered a salary based on the hours you streamed. So depending on how many hours you streamed is how much you would make.
Okay.
And so like the blackmail stuff, I really can't comment on. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why he's blackmailing people. Is what it is. Like, I
right.
Literally, I just can't speak on that. It's not me. I don't know what's going through the person's head. The contract part, yes, Kiki's owed money. It's around $200 or so. It's pretty public now.
Right.
And there was a situation where the Illusion PayPal account, it has close to 10K in it. There's a lot of money in that account. I was revoked access from it. Like, the account was limited. I don't know. There was like some real weird stuff on it. Like, I had to verify my identity all the time, and just a whole bunch of stuff that went down. So like every time I tried to use the PayPal, like when it's limited, you can't receive money, you can't send money, you can't remove bank cards, but you can add them. So everything with the account is just doesn't function. And so like it would work one week, and then I'd go back and try to use it again. I'd have to verify my identity. Then they shut it down for like a whole month. Then it went on for like another 2 months. Then we thought we got the account back. Then the next day they revoked access again, made the account limited. So it was a weird situation. Me and Kiki were working through it. She knew a specialist at PayPal that got me through. They had a better understanding of the situation. So PayPal thought, like me, I was thinking like PayPal was just like, messing with us. Like, I don't know what they were trying to do. Like, it seemed like some shady stuff on PayPal side. There was like no really context provided. But when I talked to the specialist, they found out, they were saying that it was like that PayPal was thinking it's like some type of identity theft type thing. So when I went on there, because like it's all my information on the PayPal account, or was. Well, my name's still on there because you can't like remove the names.
Right.
So like it had my name on there, and like they're trying to verify if it's actually me, if it's not me. I had to go down to like the county office in my state to verify my identity. When I got down there, they were like, you have to set an appointment, which was supposed to be on February 18th, and then I don't know. We were gonna go from there, see like. Cause like obviously I am who I am, so I go down there. I bring like my social security card, my birth certificate, my ID, any other type.
Right,
of like,
show you that hey, that's me.
Yeah, and then everything would have been like completely solved.
Right now,
we didn't make it that far.
Now here's the thing too, and this is where it gets tricky for me, because now I'm hearing that stuff, and it seems like a situation where okay, yeah, there's this is all happening now. Illusion Esports official, like the Twitter. the person who was handling the Twitter for the last 48 hours that said all the crazy stuff, they retweeted a tweet that said, I can confirm this is about Tekken CBM. I personally had the Illusion accounts frozen to keep Best from paying his team just to ruin him. So I'm not sure if you seen that tweet before. Thoughts on it? Like what do you?
Yeah, I saw the tweet. What he says is true. Like I said, the PayPal account was not working whatsoever.
Right. So
That's where all the money
somebody.
was
So do you, now at the time before this all happened, did you think that, oh, maybe this is just PayPal, blah blah, this is all the stuff. But now with that coming into light, do you think that all of that happening was just sabotage from the very beginning?
I think so. Why else would they like have the money frozen? Because like so, frozen is like, I don't want to say like frozen, but they made it to where the account wasn't active. They were trying to charge back money that shouldn't have been charged back. They were claiming that they were the rightful owner of the PayPal, and that's why they kept doing like all the identity verifications.
Right. So this is a situation where now you mentioned how before the people who you had sold the majority share, they were saying how you were overspending. Sometimes you weren't doing, they weren't happy with the way the company was getting run at the time, and all of that. Now, okay, so as for somebody who obviously I don't run any sports organization, so I don't know how the inner workings go, but it seems to me counterproductive for an esports organization to say, hey, I don't like the way you're running things, we need to change it, and then go and trip up the person who is the CEO at the time to try to not let them pay them. I mean, it seems like a self implosion. Do you think do you think that it has to do with somebody just wanting Illusion to go down? Because it doesn't seem like it would be somebody who has stake in the company, right? I mean, it seems like it would be somebody who just has a personal grudge. So what are your thoughts on how, how the actual organization, the people who own the majority share now, see this? Because I tried to reach them for comment and I couldn't get a hold of anybody.
Well, this is what they said from when I talked to the investors, is that they saw we were heading into the red. They didn't want it to happen, so they stopped the funding, pretty much. After they had a group meeting, they came together. They were like, okay, we need to make a change. There's too much money going out, and there's not enough return. No, the spending was actually very cheap, just because. Okay, so let me put it this way: K7, Lost Soul went to Chicago for Frosty Faustings.
All right.
We got a room for 4 nights for $176.
Wow, that's actually really cheap.
You tell me if I'm overspending.
Yeah, no, that doesn't seem like overspending. I think in my perspective, from what has been, what you've said so far, it seems more or less like they were just looking at it from a linear point of view, as like, we're losing money because we're not making enough we're in the red, right? We're using money and then you're not getting enough back. Right. So that's how they just saw it. They didn't see it as like, we're actually not spending as much money as you think we are, considering what we're getting out of it. You're building a brand, you're trying to elevate your organization higher in order for it to become profitable eventually. So it seems to me that's weird that they were saying that. So I don't know if the identity of the investors is known, but are the investors people who understand esports, or are they like how involved are they with Illusion Esports?
So like I said, I had full control of what went on with the team. They gave me money. They were like, here, go spend it. Go make an esports team, pretty much. Which we were actually heading in the right direction. I had some people lined up, like some big name players that were about to join the team before all this happened. We were just starting to win tournaments. Like, we got 7th place at the Call of Duty tournament. K7 had just won Frosty Faustings. Lost Soul went there and got top 8 in like 3 different games, won one of the game. Then Splash had made top 8 at every event he had been to. CBM was coming up in Tekken. He just won like the biggest tournament in Korea that was ever held there. So things were going good. We were on the come up, you know. We were on the cups of like getting big name sponsors and stuff like that. There was a lot of stuff. We had like a whole new content plan coming.
Right.
We were gonna try to make new YouTube videos, try to be like more personality type based team.
Right.
Like Optic Gaming.
Which, by the way, from what I understand, is really how a lot of the esports money is made, right? It's through content creation.
Yeah.
It's
content, sponsors, and then investment. That's the main 3 places you're gonna get your money from. Content being the most.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, had that been something, I mean, and that's why you spend the money to build up your brand, right? That's why you spend the money in giving opportunities to players, because these players perform well at their events, and then that brings up the level of the org and stuff like that. So it all makes sense. Now, one of the other things that the person who had the account at the time, the Illusion Esports account at the time, was mentioning that they said how BestTheDon didn't really care about any of the other people in the org. He was just concerned with CBM. He only really cared about the big players. He specifically mentioned how, as far as Tekken goes, he mentioned something about like not caring about any of the Arab players and stuff like that. What do you think about that? What is your defense or rebuttal against those comments?
Okay, so let me speak on this. So we'll start with Tekken first. So
Right.
CBM, he gets visas. In South Korea, it's a million times easier to get a visa to anywhere in the world. Like, you pretty much go, you say, I want to go here. You book your hotel or your flight, you're good to go.
Right.
Visa approved. So CBM was getting his own visas. I was doing nothing involved with his visas whatsoever.
Right.
The Pakistani players, if you're not Arslan Ash, it's hard to get you a visa. We worked,
Right.
we spent money on flights, hotels for Zanarb and Usman to go to Evo Japan just for them to get declined. And it wasn't just them. Like, literally, if you go through and you look, every player from Pakistan other than Arslan Ash got denied. It was like 15 players that were going to go that were denied by the government. I don't control the government. So with him saying oh, you favor CBM because you got him visas, I didn't get the visas.
Right. And again, that's just geopolitics, right? I mean, that's the type of you can't, that a lot of places don't allow visas because of the country that they're coming from, or because whatever the case may be, you have no control over that, right?
Yeah, no control. Like, we did everything we were supposed to. Like, we had bank statements, we had invitation letters, we had flights booked, hotel booked. They had the flight itineraries and everything. They go there. They're there for 2 days. 2 days just to get their visa declined. Zanarb is missing class. He's trying to get his degree. Usman is away from his wife, who is pregnant.
Right.
All while trying to get this visa, and the government says no. There's literally nothing more we could have done.
Right.
And the thing is, so when I talked to Zanarb, he's like, yeah, once we travel to these countries, it'll be easier the next time.
Right, right, because it sets a precedence for that person. He's okay to travel because he's already done it.
Yeah, but the thing is initially doing it, and that I don't even think is because there's these players. There's a Tiff Butt, and there's Away as Honey. So they went to Japan earlier this year, won the event, and then they come back and they try to go to Japan for Evo in January. They get declined.
Right.
So it doesn't even matter if you've already been to that country or not. It just comes down to oh, do we want him to go or do we not? It just comes down to whoever's working that day, pretty much, at the embassy.
Right. Yeah. Whoever's in a good mood or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean that, and listen, that makes sense. I think a lot of these. Here's the thing that I don't understand about this whole situation. Right. Is that I've had a friendly relationship with you and a professional relationship with you since I met you, and I've never had any issues. In fact, you've always gone above and beyond for me, and we've always verbally agreed on a lot of stuff and never had an issue with you, right?
Yeah.
And so, my concern is that the person who's taking into this account and saying all these things and making all these claims and talking about all this stuff, it doesn't, it's either somebody who is psycho in the sense that they don't care about what happens to the organization after what he says, or they don't understand how it's going to impact, or how his personal feelings are going to impact the organization from what he's saying. Either way, it's still bad in my opinion. Now,
well, yeah, the organization is done.
Right.
There's no coming back.
Now, have you had any talks with some of the investors about the organization? Like, where do they go from here? I'm assuming they're losing money on this, right? Correct?
Okay, well, I believe so. So look, the night that all this went down, I got a DM from the Illusion account. They asked for proof if my aunt was in the hospital. I declined to give them proof.
Right.
Because
As any sane person should do, right? Because I feel like that's the case. I mean, I had a loss in my family, and if somebody said, well, why aren't you streaming? Give me proof of your loss. I'm going to be like, yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, so I declined. Then that's when it's like, oh, like you saw the stuff on Twitter. Oh, his aunt doesn't exist, or
Right.
she's not really in the hospital, or this and that. And since then, I didn't hear anything from anyone dealing with Illusion management. So what is going on behind the scenes over there? I have no idea whatsoever.
So you haven't gotten contacted from any of the investors or anybody about what's been going on? Because listen, let's do a little bit of imagining here. Let's say, for example, I am an investor in Illusion, right? Or somebody who is just an investor. I don't even really know anything about esports, right? But I know that the company I'm investing in is now losing money and is losing face on social media because of all this stuff that's going on, right? Like, I've got to know that that's going on, because now my money's gone. It's gone for a long time or forever, right? So I'm just surprised that nobody has said, hey, what's going on? Like, even if reaching out to the former CEO, as in you, would be like, hey, what's going on? Why is this happening? Like, because somebody's got to be like, where's my money? Somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, well, the way I see it is that they pretty much burned the bridge with me. After I tried to tell them that any changes being made is not the right move. Like, we're headed on the right path.
Right.
They didn't trust me, and so they're probably thinking like, oh, well, we should have stuck with him, but he's not willing to come back now, which I'm not. Even if they were like, here, we'll give you an extra 10K, like, revive the
Fix
team, I
this.
wouldn't come back.
Right. Right. I mean, that makes sense.
That's where I see it, is like, they burn the bridge and they kind of don't want to be like, oh, well, we're sorry. They're
right. But even if they weren't, I mean, just the fact that they're not doing anything to.
And the thing is, they might not even know, because like a lot of the time when I was there, they would only ask for updates like every couple months. So like they come to me and they'd be like, hey, so how are things going? I give them the breakdown. They'd be like, oh, that's good. And then, wouldn't hear from them for a while.
So they might not even know. This might just be a lost investment to them, and they might not even know about it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. So let's talk about, we talked about the players' contracts before, and how they're still technically with Illusion and stuff like that. Let's talk about them for a little bit, because a lot of people have questions about where they stand now. You mentioned already, when talking about Illusion, you already said they're done. It's over. So what happens to these players? Does if the company dissolves, do these players become free agents? Does their contract not exist anymore?
Well, okay, so the way I see it, I was talking with a few people that I know.
Right.
They do legal stuff in esports. They've been doing this a lot longer than I have.
Right.
With the illegal stuff that was said through the Illusion account, pretty much, if they were to stay with the team, they would be like an associate of the crime.
Oh.
As you see. Right. So legally, they have a right to leave. Okay. Because there's illegal stuff going on. It's like if you were working at Subway and there was a dude in the back cooking crack.
Right.
And then you find out about it, and then you're like, okay, I can't do this. Like,
I can't cook.
I'm not coming to work anymore. They can't be like, oh well, I don't know what to tell you. You're fired. Like they just can't do that.
Right.
So, you legally have the right to leave to not be involved with crime. So when there's like crimes involved, then contracts kind of just fall apart. Which it's not 100%, but that's kind of what we're seeing it as. And most of the players have already like said like, oh, they're not a part of Illusion anymore, this and that.
Right. They've publicly disavowed the team and been like, hey, I'm not gonna be. Has there been anybody who? Because at the moment when everything was in doubt, some people were like, well, listen, I don't like what's going on, but I still kind of want to stay with the team because I still want to play under them. Like, what's going on? Has there been any contact from some of the players towards you and been like, what do I do now? Like, how is it? What's going on? Like, what are you telling players if any have contacted you?
Yeah, well, I've been contacted by pretty much all of them, except the Tekken players, and yeah, pretty much all of them, except for the Tekken players. So, I talked to the Mortal Kombat boys. 3 of them initially planned to stay, so I couldn't get them out. They wanted to stay with the team. I told them, it's not a good look. I don't know. This happens, so I don't know. But Deadly Rebel, Link Ors, Legendary Pred, they're gonna be moved to somewhere else.
Are they doing it as a free agency, or did you take up their contracts? How does that work? Because I know that before you said that like, oh well, I can't. The whole contract thing never came up. We never finalized that stuff, so you never actually have. You don't technically have their contract. So are you just doing this for them as like moving them, or are they doing their own thing? Are they just free agents now?
So initially those are the 3 that were gonna come with me in the transfer. But since like I haven't heard from them, everything's dissolving. I'm just gonna rock with it, take them with me, and if actually don't think they're gonna take legal action, because there's a lot of illegal stuff being done on the Illusion account. So it's kind of like self-snitching. It's like if you go and like file a lawsuit against them, there's gonna be like, oh well, this happened. He was blackmailing these people, or he tried to extort these people, and then get themselves in like legal trouble. So I actually don't see them pursuing anything legal. So we're just gonna take them with us. Well, I'm gonna take them somewhere. I'm gonna find them somewhere at home.
Right.
And that's what I've been trying to do with like all the players. And some of them I have secured them ways to, well, not me myself, but I've been talking with some people. They have ways secured to the LCQ, and then still working out the rest.
Right. So okay. So, let's. That opens a lot of questions, right? I have a lot of questions about that. So first of all, let's talk about okay, so there's a comment in the chat that from Zombie Sweat that says, I've been contacted by the Tekken players, that's why they didn't contact Don. Are you working with other people? Do you know about this specifically, about Zombie Sweat contacting the Tekken players?
I have not, but Zombie's like real diligent person. I trust his judgment, so whatever he's trying to do for them is probably for the best.
Right.
I haven't talked to Zombie about most of this stuff. I've kind of just been like, focusing on my aunt, back and forth to the hospitals, stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
today
obviously.
I actually just flew back to New Mexico just for just so I don't get fired from my job.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And so, okay, so then the other question is, I guess there's just so many different things that we could touch upon. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the content creators, because I think personally for me, I think it was easy for me to like when all this stuff was happening, I was like, this is weird. I'm just not going to be part of the org, because I didn't have a contract or anything. It was just verbal agreement between you and me. And it was just like, okay, if this is going on, I'm just going to leave. Like there was not, it was easier for me, but there was a lot of content creators like Kiki and, I think there was other people as well who had mentioned that there was a lot of shady stuff going on between them and the Illusion esports org. Kiki's already, we've already seen what happened with her. She made that public. It was in the video. It was featured in the video as well. But other people like Slink, he messaged me as well, and he let me know that they were trying to trick him into signing the channel over to Illusion Esports. And that, you know, they were trying to do that, and you know, he had mentioned on his Twitter that if that was going to be the case, then they would take legal repercussions, that he would take legal repercussions against Illusion. So with all that happening, right, now, do you think, you know, because obviously there are stuff that's going on here that's illegal, right, because they're coming off of the Illusion Esports Twitter. Is there a legal recourse? Can there be a legal recourse from either you or any of the players that can do something? And will that spark some something from the investors? Because what does the blame fall on? Because if there is a legal recourse at some point, does it fall on the investors?
I'm pretty sure it would. Like I said, I'm not too, you know, big on the legal stuff. I didn't major in this. I was in
Right.
marketing, but I'm pretty sure that's how it would be.
Right.
But like, as for like contract wise, Kiki's not stuck there. Like without her being paid, the contract is, you know, voided.
Right.
So she's free to do what she wishes. I believe she's gonna take legal action, which I actually don't know because she's owed $200. I don't know like if she can claim damages like to her brand because of this, because she was the one who kind of went public with it. So I don't know if a court would actually take this case. But like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Right.
That's just, you know, from outside point of view.
Right. And I mean, I guess that makes sense. And, you know, yeah, and she's even saying in chat, yeah, she doesn't know how it will go either. Do you have any I mean, a lot of the stuff that was said about you personally, personal attacks that were coming from the Illusions Twitter were happening. So do you have any legal recourse? Do you wish to have any legal recourse against Illusion because of this?
Look, I honestly just don't think it's worth my time.
Right.
Just because, like, it would be kind of a hard case because, you know, I could kind of claim, like, you know, damages to my brand.
Right.
But other than that, there's not really much I can do. Like, the threats weren't indirectly to me. It was kind of like, oh, I wish he was in his aunt's place. That's not like saying, like, oh, I'm going to kill you. So,
right. That's more like libel, I guess, right? Technically.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily anything more than just somebody, you know, defamation of character or something like that.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, even if I did, like, try to take some type of legal action, is it even worth it? Is it worth my time?
Right.
Is it worth the money that I have to put in to get a lawyer to do this? So I'm kind of just like, it's whatever. Like, I actually don't care. I'll just move on.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about moving on. Let's talk about where do you go from here? Because, you know what, I think one of the saddest parts about this whole thing is that Illusion Esports made such a huge impact in the small amount of time that it was, you know, that it became big. It had so many different, you know, players who did really well, who kind of came up with Illusion, you know, and that made Illusion bigger, made those players bigger. It elevated the branding of the org itself. And I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed to not attribute that to you as a person, right? You mentioned you have, you know, you have a marketing background, so they obviously this is something that, you know, you can do. Do you plan to do something in the future similar towards this? I know you mentioned how you did build something and now it's kind of like going downhill. Obviously, everything that you built kind of just went away in the span of a couple of hours, really. So what do you think? Where do you go from here?
Oh, so I actually don't know. I haven't even really thought about it myself. Like, I have a lot of. It was kind of unexpected. There's a lot of esports teams in my DMs. Like, hey, we got a spot for you. You can come over here. You can help us manage. You can do this. We can put together a new org. Like, we're buying out this team. We want you to come over here and help us run it. So I have options, but it's like, do I really want to like do this again? Because like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm hurt.
Right.
Like everything from like the branding, the logo, the apparel, the jerseys, was all made by me. Like the name, we came together as a team. The first logo, me and Theory decided on it ourselves. The second logo was all me. Jerseys, all me. The apparel line, all me. I bought the domain name for the website that was being made. The graphic
Right.
design, everything like behind the team, like the artists I hired, the designs, like that was all me. I was behind all of it. Like I had people helping me, like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? But really, like, I don't know. I was like the main driving force behind it. That's why I said, like, once I'm gone, don't know where the team would be, and I didn't see it being successful.
Right. I mean, it became successful in a lot of ways because of you. I mean, obviously there was a lot of other people working
Well, yeah.
in the
I'm not like
background.
I'm not like discounting
But
like
I
the
do think
players or anything like that.
right, exactly. Obviously there's a lot of people working and making the brand what it was. But I do think that you did establish a culture. I mean, the entire reason why I even chose to be a part of the organization was because I liked the culture of it. I liked the people around it. I even when you guys were in talks with Kiki, I was talking to Kiki and I was like, yeah, they're really cool. Like they're awesome people to have as an org. Like they're really great. Like, I always talk great about you guys, and I think that culture was established by you, mainly by you. So it would be, I mean, I think that's, for me, as a fan of esports, not necessarily somebody who's just working in it, but somebody who's just a fan of esports. I think it's sad to see somebody with your talent of branding something like this to kind of go without anything else, right? Because this is, if you if you I don't mean to make the pun, but become disillusioned with the whole fact that you're making, your org that you created just went downhill. So, maybe that's just me saying, hey, keep it in the back of your mind. I think you're too talented to just go away. I think there's at some point you should have the thought of coming back to some sort of organization. And when this whole thing was happening, all I saw was players in your corner talking like, hey, we only did this because of Don. Like, we only did this because of him. Like he did so much for us that he didn't have to. And, we're in his corner. Nobody believed anything that this person from the Illusion Esports org was saying, because everybody was like, there's no way. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah. I don't know. It's wild. Like, I appreciate like everybody was on Twitter, like, Slink, there's Ramby, there's Zombie, there's Rich, Deadly Rebel, Linkors, Lasso. When I was explaining to them like what was going on, they had no doubt. I told them like, yeah, this is what happened. This is what's been going on behind the scenes. Like when I came to Kiki about like the whole PayPal situation, she understood. She actually helped me with the situation, put me in touch with like specialists and stuff. So, I'm really glad that I was like able to leave an impression on it. It's just, I don't know. I messed up. Like all I can say is that I made a mistake by, trying to get invested.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you. Here's the thing. I don't know if you necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily call that a mistake, right? I mean, I think that, because I mean, I'm assuming that when you sold the majority shares of your company, you made out with quite a bit. I mean, at least, I mean, we're not talking about millions or anything, but I'm sure you made a profit to the point where you were like, okay, this this was a little beneficial to me.
Yeah, and the thing is like the goal was never to make profit.
Right, you wanted to reinvest into the company. Like you wanted to make it so that I'm gonna sell my share of the company so that we can use that money to do bigger things. Like you were thinking bigger.
Yeah.
Right. And
so like the thing that like I wanted to do, so like the whole driving point was behind like the investment is that we wanted to build an office where like everybody can come together. Everybody come out, we shoot some videos, some challenge videos, I don't know, do some live streams together.
Right.
Everybody gets to know about everybody on the team. It'd have been a great way for us to like establish this, a random And with that, like, it also gave me investment to sign more players because, like, all the players I signed, like, we had budgeted out.
Right.
It was 10K till like January, like end of January, end of February, however long it would last us, and then we'd get another go with investment if things went well. Things were just starting to turn out well. We had got I had got some big name players like Link Ors. He went to Evo Japan, the first event with us.
Right.
Got third place there at the hardest tournament ever in SoCal. We had Splash. He really put us on his back, like in the beginning.
Right.
First two events he goes to, gets fifth at both.
Right.
There
Yeah.
was there was K7 who just kind of like exploded like online. Like K7 went from being the online warrior to the guy winning like offline majors.
Right.
Then we had Wise Gemini. His stream was blowing up. Then I started bringing more content creators. Their streams were doing good, and it's just like it's tough to see everything just kind of go downhill when everything you did was for the team. Like there was never a time when I was like, oh well, you know, maybe I shouldn't like send this player to this event, or maybe we shouldn't do this just so I can have some more money.
Right.
Like everything that I got went right back into the team.
Right, and I think you saw that. I mean, the players knew that. The players, the content creators, everybody who was part of the organization, I feel like they knew that, I feel like everybody who felt hurt by this or, whatever the case may be, I think that was just, jealousy. I mean, everybody who saw those comments, they knew what it was. They knew it was, because even in some of these comments, I mean, okay, so one of the things that the account said in a private DM to some of the content creators and the team was saying that Best gets the world, good job, dates all the pretty girls, nice car, I won't stop until he loses it all, that's how I really feel. So I mean, that just seems like jealous. It just seems like somebody's really, really salty.
Oh man, no comment on that. Like, what can I say? What can I say?
But that's what I mean.
know.
Like there's. I think that when you mention how you were hurt, and you have every right to be, because for every intents and purposes, this was your baby, right? This was your organization. You brought it from, you and others brought it from the ground up, and you helped create it what it was today. And I think that like somebody like that just ruining it all for everyone, because I mean, I think that you guys, for a lot of people, especially in the Mortal Kombat community, for a lot of people, they were looking to Illusion like, oh, these guys are the groundbreakers. These guys are the people that new people come to show off, to show off like, hey, we're new, we can come and we could do some really great stuff like you guys had already done with some other players.
Yeah.
So it definitely had an impact on the fighting game community, and it would have been great to see where it would have gone from here. But yeah,
I don't know. Like my whole mindset behind like the players we added is that I could have went after players that were like already established, already have a following, but instead we chose K7. So like there was a time, one point in time, when there was this guy named Forever King. He's been playing for a couple years now, and it was like, do we could sign Forever King, or we can go and get K7. Like Nips was telling me, he's like, go get Forever King, good guy, I've met him before, go sign him. And then I'm like, I don't know, K7, like I see something in him, let's get him. Bring K7 in, and you see what happens.
Right, exactly. I mean, you had
like,
an eye for talent for sure. Like I don't think anybody can doubt that, because I think even people who didn't see it in themselves, you saw it before them. You saw a lot of. I know Mortal Kombat players in Illusion who they were like, I didn't think it was gonna be that good. like Don is the person who pushed me. Like he's the one who like thought, hey, maybe you could do. I believe in you, and I think that belief propelled them to be better. That kind of mentality and culture that you establish, I don't think a lot of people have that in esports, and it's an untapped thing that is so. I mean, it's the type of thing that if Illusion would have kept going without this controversy, would have gotten a lot bigger. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, so like if we could have just lasted just like 2 more weeks, I had some of the biggest name players coming on the team. Like I won't say names,
Right.
but like the guy won pretty much every Street Fighter event last year.
Right.
Then there was a guy who was formerly on NRG, all about to
Wow.
come aboard the team.
Wow.
And it's just like in 48 hours. Not
Yeah.
even 40 hours, 30 minutes. 30 minutes. All of it was gone.
Right. Yeah. I
And
mean,
like the thing is like last night I was like watching the players stream that was on NRG because I watch his stream like every night.
right.
And then so like he goes and he's like talking about it. And he's like, yeah, like I was gonna join the team. This happened. Like I was vibing with it. My friends were on the team. And then I saw this. He was like, "Man, good thing I didn't." And I was like, "Man, like I didn't know because I didn't talk to him because he went on vacation."
Right.
And then he was like, "Yeah, like." He was like, "Yeah, I was gonna join." And I was like, "Oh man, well." That's when like it really sank in, is that like it's over.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know. I mean, it angers me a little bit because it's just the type of thing where there's so much of what could have been in this. There's so much, like you mentioned, there was so much stuff on the horizon, and there was so much that could have been gone through this. Now, we didn't mention this before, and obviously a lot of it was speculation and stuff like that, but the official Illusion Twitter did mention that the new CEO was going to be the Diego person, Diego Hardinez, I think. Do you know of this person? Was this person a former associate? Was he part of the Illusion org? Who was this person? Like, did you know anything about that person beforehand?
I don't know. I don't really speak on it. I do know the person.
Right.
But like I said, I don't actually know if it's them.
Right. There's no confirmation.
There's no. I can't really say. Is like I don't know. I just.
But the question was, I mean, I didn't want you to like elaborate on it. I just wanted to know because it seemed like whoever did had an issue with you, whoever had the account had a personal issue with you, right? Now, I just wanted to know if you had a previous relationship, like a professional relationship with Diego as a person before all this started. Like have you talked to that person? Is that person have you contacted that person? Did you be like, hey, is this you? Like, has any of that been talked about? Because I mean, it could be him, but we don't know. So did you try to confirm that with that person?
I have not. So I do know him. We used to be roommates. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. We were roommates, we're friends.
So there wasn't so that person wasn't part of Illusion?
Per se yes, per se no, because like he was with us in the beginning when we put the team together. He's one of the founding people. It was me, him, and Theory. So like I said, at the time of me building the team, we were living together. So he helped out a lot in the beginning. He helped us choose the names. We used to do like streams in our Discord where we used to watch anime and stuff. He used to stream it. We'd all be in there together.
Right.
So
there was a friendly relationship. Obviously, you guys had known each other in real life, and there was a bond there. So whatever the case may be, and obviously I'm not speculating on whether he was the person who was the person who had the control over the Twitter, but it kind of puts into question that whoever was in control of the Twitter definitely wanted to put a blame or speculation on Diego. So who knows? I mean, that's just me thinking about what happened, who could have been, all that stuff. Because I mean, we might not ever know who did that, like who took the account.
Well, from the way I see it is that there was a lot of other people involved in this as well. So there's screenshots that I've been sent of this account. It was talking with Theory and Munching. They both left the team. They didn't like that we weren't doing Overwatch, pretty much.
Right.
Keep it simple, like straight to the point. So apparently Theory holds a grudge. Don't know why or what I did to him. I thought everything was cool, but who knows? Could be him. Like I just can't say who's on the account.
Right.
Like who it is.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not. I didn't think you were gonna speculate about it. I was just wondering, like, I guess it was just me thinking about, like, why would that person be mentioned? Why would it, like, okay, so in the account it said that he would be the new CEO. At the time when that happened, were you technically still CEO, or had you left? Because you were talking about how you were.
Okay, so the announcement was supposed to drop yesterday on Tuesday. So we had known about, like, I'm no longer CEO. Everybody, like most people on the team knew. Well, all the contracted players knew.
Right.
I let them know I wasn't CEO anymore, and so I told them, like, they were gonna drop it on Tuesday. That's what was gonna happen. I was blindsided. It kind of just dropped on Monday, like the same time. So this is what happened. I was on my way home. I was on a flight back to New Mexico. Um, I'm in New York on my layover. I get messages from my uncle. He's like, "Oh, your aunt's in the hospital, blah blah blah. Things like it's not looking good." So I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go to Las Vegas." So I immediately buy a flight, fly to Las Vegas, and this is like in the middle of the night. It's like 3 a.m. at this time. I
Right.
land like 5 a.m. So I get there. I immediately go to the hospital. I can't see her because they have like weird visiting hours in the ICU.
Right.
So I'm at the hospital all night. Finally, they let me in. I had to talk to my aunt. Then I get the keys to her place. I go back to her house. So like I used to go visit my aunt like almost every summer. So I have like my own room there. I have like an Xbox. Like, there's clothes. So I just go there.
Right. You
And,
were close.
I go back. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I go back to her house. Go get changed and then go back to the hospital. And I'm like talking with them, and then this just kind of drops. And like all I see is like my Twitter notifications. It goes from like one to like hundreds of them. Then I start getting a million DMs, and then it just starts going crazy. And I just didn't comment on it. Like I just didn't care. I was like, whatever. It's there. More worried about my aunt.
Well, absolutely. I mean, as you should be. I mean, I think that everything is secondary to that, right? Obviously.
Yeah. Then from there, people hit me up. They're like, oh, because she needs a heart transplant. Well, needed. They said it's not needed anymore. Um, so I'm like worried. Like my insurance says they'll only cover 80%. I gotta come up and like it's like a $500,000 procedure. It's like
Right.
$100,000 for the surgery itself, but to get the heart like replacement, like to get a new heart, is where like all the money comes in because there's like a waiting list to get moved up the
Right.
list. You gotta pay, and it's just I don't understand hospitals like why they put a price tag on somebody's life.
Right.
But
Which is something that you tweeted out as well. It was something that you mentioned before
yeah,
all of that stuff happened.
yeah. I was just kind of in the middle of the night, like I don't know. I was just kind of frantic, just wanted to
Right.
vent, so I just kind of posted on Twitter.
It made sense,
Uh,
but here's why I found what you said interesting is because you said all of that before all the controversy happened. You
yeah,
mentioned about your aunt before anything happened. So the fact that the person who was in charge of the Twitter at the time started talking about your aunt as if that was some sort of excuse from you, it didn't really make sense to me because why
yeah.
would you
So
say that
let me
before?
elaborate on that.
Right.
So everybody, like when it dropped, I had a lot of mixed reviews. It was like, oh, you're doing this to like get sympathy, or you're looking for pity, or your aunt's not really in the hospital. Then there's the people like, oh, I'm so sorry about your aunt, blah blah blah. You're gonna start a
Right. The
GoFundMe.
reasonable people, right?
No, 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 no. They weren't even reasonable. They come in, they're like, oh, you're gonna start a GoFundMe. I'm like, no, I think I can get the money together.
Right.
Um, and then they're like,
I'm saying
oh,
reasonable
so you
because they were like, I'm sorry for what's happening. Like the people who were like,
well,
who,
they were in the beginning until I told them I was like, oh well, I don't think I'm gonna start a GoFundMe. They're like, why wouldn't you? Like that. Then they're like, oh, your aunt's not really in the hospital because you don't want to like have people donate money to you. And I was
oh,
like,
gotcha.
okay. And then there's the people that are like, oh, give me the proof that your aunt's actually in the hospital. I believe you're like, this is some type of scam or something like that. You're just trying to run off with
Why would you
money.
scam
And I was
people without wanting to take their money?
That's what I said. And then people are like, yeah, he ran off with illusion money to pay for his aunt's surgery. And I was like, she hasn't even had the surgery
What
yet.
money? It's frozen.
Oh my. So like I got like barraged by all of that.
Right.
So the screenshot I sent you, can you put that on the screen so people can actually see
Yeah, let me see if I can
that
get
like
it
it's
real quick.
not a lie? So I'm like, that had me tilted off the face of the earth. Is that people were actually in the hospital? You're lying.
Right. Let me see if I can put that up on the screen because it's sort of a pain in the butt. But let me see if I can put it up real quick. Hold on, let's see. Okay. Yeah, okay. So here's this is the best I can do for right now, but here's some of it. We could go into a little bit real quick.
Yeah, so this is my family group chat on Facebook. And so like this is I get this message from my uncle on my way back to New Mexico. And that's what it says.
Right. And then you mentioned how you're gonna buy a flight. Right. So yeah. I mean, obviously, this is. I mean, I don't think you ever needed to prove this, personally.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's just like it's really been like, like just I don't know. Like it just tilts me that like it was like if it was just like a couple people, but it's been hundreds of people saying that.
Yeah, and I understand you wanting to, be like, hey, this is really what's happening. I understand that. I'm coming at it from the perspective of somebody who has had a tragic loss in their recently, and has been like, if this would have happened to me, I mean, I wouldn't have been as nice as you were. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I would have been like, you want proof that this thing that's happening right now is happening? Like, how about like, I would have been so upset about this. And I was upset that it was happening to you because I was like, oh man, if I was in his shoes, I would have been cursing up a storm and just telling people to go, like I was just so upset at the situation.
That's one thing I can say. Like I've been in a lot of Twitter beefs. I've learned to just like ignore a lot of the hate now. Yeah, I've just learned to ignore some of the hate now, and I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah. So one of the questions in chat, which by the way, if anybody has any lingering questions, I think we touched up on everything, but if anybody has any lingering questions, feel free to ask. One of the questions, which we've kind of already answered it, but we'll reiterate that one of the questions was, but what direction is Illusion going to be taking at this time? Is the company done? Are they going to be doing damage control? The quick answer is that Illusion is done. Right? I mean
even if they did like came out and like did damage control, it's already out there. It's already happened.
Right, and
like everything I've put together is gone. The players are gone. There's no salvaging this.
Right, and not just that, but I mean all that they have left is the name and the logo, right? I mean, I think that's kind of it. It's just like the properties that you yourself acquired for the team. So one of the other question is, Best, what are your plans for the future? You're going to possibly join another org. We touched up on this as well. What's the short answer for this, Best, for other people?
Maybe. I don't know. I have a lot of offers. I'm looking at them. Starting another org is pretty much out of the question. I don't want to go from the ground up again.
But joining another org, I mean, maybe?
I could see myself doing that. If it just has to be the right place. And, like, a lot of the teams that are offering me, they're strictly Call of Duty. That's not what I've never wanted to be just one game.
Right, but I mean, you were Overwatch until you were not. Right?
Well,
I mean,
that's the thing. It's like I never wanted to leave Overwatch. Is that they wanted to keep doing console Overwatch?
I don't think that you ever really left Overwatch. I think it's just an opportunity came to grow and you took it. Yeah, that's how I see it.
The thing is like I wanted to do PC Overwatch. They wanted to do console Overwatch, and I'm like, the console scene, everybody knows it's toxic and it's like a bunch of kids and they say stuff that could be damaging to the brand. Exactly. So I was like, I don't really want to have like a bunch of these kids on the team. So we kind of distance ourselves from Overwatch. Right. Like the team we had, they were like a tier 2 team, like plat, diamond, whatever. They were cool. They knew how to run themselves on Twitter. I was happy with them. Everybody else was donezo.
Right.
And then we tried to go into PC Overwatch. The team broke up. because they didn't make like open division. They did bad in open division or something like that. I don't know what happened. So they broke up, and no more PC Overwatch,
Right.
and we just kind of moved on.
Right. Well, I mean, so yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously, you mentioned the future is still a little bit open. There might be some possibilities of joining another team. Who knows? We won't know. We will find out. So for those of you in chat who are asking some of the questions, and maybe had come in late for the stream and are just starting to get here, follow the YouTube. I'll have this entire interview archived over there. Put in exclamation point YouTube. You'll be able to find it. The link to the YouTube channel. It'll also be available as a VOD on my channel if you want to rewatch this, just to check everything that's going to be happening afterwards. And then thank you, Dizzy, for putting up in the chat. And yeah, so I mean, just to reiterate everything that's happened. So this is just it's what's the worst part about this is there's nobody to really blame here, because it's hard to pinpoint it to somebody in particular.
Yeah, and that's one thing I did see on Twitter. It was like, oh, you don't know who I am, so I can just say what I want type thing.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe they can. I don't know. I just don't know what we can do. Like, I don't know who it is. Nobody really knows who it is. There's speculation, but that's just speculation.
Right. Yeah, and we don't know. We might not ever know. But if the person ever watches this or is watching it, it's like you just ruined a great thing for no reason. For no reason. If you're that salty about not being Don, which is what it sounded like, just get good, forehead, right? I mean, that's probably the best response I could give that person is just be better, get good. You're salty about not being somebody else, then just be a better person and start with not doing dumb stuff like that. So that's all I can say about that. But Don, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I appreciate how awesome you've been through this entire thing, because you didn't have to come and clear the air. You didn't have to talk about this. I think I know you as a person enough to know that you just kind of did this because you felt like you owed it to the players and all this stuff to just kind of clear the air and stuff, which you didn't really have to. I mean, you didn't, everybody who knows you has probably talked to you personally, but I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about it and clearing the air.
Yeah. I appreciate you having me on as always. I love coming on here.
Right. Absolutely.
I just really want to just put this whole thing behind me and just kind of keep moving.
Absolutely. Yeah. As we should.
Tomorrow I'm catching a flight back to Vegas, so we'll see how that goes. Well, maybe not tomorrow. I might go Friday. I don't know. But going back to Vegas sometime this week.
Right. So, well, listen, I hope the best for you and your family, especially your aunt. I hope, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I hope that whatever happens is good news, and I hope the best from here on out. So please send, my kindest regards to you and your family, for whatever you're going through. And you're super talented, man. I think that anybody who is willing to have you on should just listen to what you have to say, because I think you're a smart individual and you have a lot to offer esports. So make sure that you keep those opportunities open. I'll keep on the lookout to see if anything pops, and I'll be like, hey, there goes Don doing his thing. So for sure. And like I said, thank you so much. You have any parting words?
No, just thanks for all the support on Twitter, for everybody that did reach out. Pretty much it for me.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. We're gonna go ahead and raid somebody from the community. Probably a Mortal Kombat player. I don't know many of them, and a lot of them that are streaming, I'm not sure. But
here, let me take a look.
Yeah, take a look if you have somebody, because we have quite a few people still in chat, and I'd like to share the love to some of these other players out there that probably deserve it as well. So if you have anybody in mind, let me know. Remember, everybody, this video is going to be archived on my Twitch as a VOD, so you can watch it, rewatch the interview. I'll link it to other people if they haven't seen it. And if you want to see it on YouTube, so that it's a little more mobile friendly or whatever, it'll be archived on my YouTube, !YouTube, to check out the link. It'll be up as soon as this interview is done. I'm going to try to get it up as soon as possible so that I can link it on Twitter. Twitter.com/Dazzle167 for any news and updates on who else is going to be on the show, and my personal streams as well. So check those out as well. And all right, so Don, did you find anybody? Are we rating somebody? I have other people in
let's
mind.
go to my name is Pole. That's my homie.
Oh, my name is Pulse. All right.
Yeah.
All right, I see him exactly. All right, cool. So, guys, go ahead and say hi to my name is Pulse. He's the homie, and we're gonna go ahead and rate him now. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. If you have any questions about how to watch the show again or stuff like that, my DMs are pretty much open. So slightly, if you want to watch this, don't worry. There's a link. There's going to be a link for it. Check my Twitter, and you'll be able to see it. It'll be up on YouTube. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bye, guys.